Welcome to the Personal Finance Podcast for Doctors. This podcast aims to simplify all aspects of personal finance and helps you make smart and informed choices about money so that you can live happier and stress-free lives. Today's episode is brought to you by Chanda Varma, who is a financial coach and vice president with the doctor practice at MFA, the only company in India having a dedicated practice for doctors.
So, I was at a Rotary meeting this week where one of my doctor clients was being felicitated for the exemplary contribution towards the cause of autistic children. She introduced me to all her colleagues as her financial coach. And as we got into small talk, the common question I was asked was, "So, where do you think the stock market is headed? It is pretty high." My immediate response was, "I don't know, but why is that important to you?" They seemed a little taken aback by my question, and there was an uncomfortable silence for a minute. And then I said, "See, it depends on where you want it to go." I know now that this response is very vague, but before I could utter another word and clarify what I had just said, one doctor asked me, "How is the stock market direction dependent on me?" I told him, well, no one knows where the stock market will head next. No one even knows where the stock market is headed tomorrow or even in 30 minutes from now. More importantly, it does not matter where the stock market is headed in general. Did we know a few days back about Hamas attack on Israel? Does anyone know if the current Maldives situation with India will escalate into something else? To cut the answer short, I don't know. And neither does anyone else. And that is the truth. But I can tell you this much. Over the last 40 years in India and even a century in the US, the stock markets have typically gone up 70 to 75% of the time. And they have gone down 25 to 30% of the time. And in between these periods of up and down, it seems like they're going nowhere. Such is the nature of the stock markets. A point to understand here is that it's impossible to know the top or the bottom of the stock market. Many smart bullshitters, though, will come up with theories, backtesting strategies to tell you that they know the exact periods between the top and the bottom. You will rarely hear, "I don't know, it doesn't matter." But what you should do is not depend on where the stock market is headed, but it's rather where you are headed. Where is your life headed? How are you aligning what's important to you with your hard-earned money? I mean, do you need the money now for some purpose? If yes, then maybe you should sell. But if you don't need the money for anything, you should stay invested and let it compound. But why do we worry so much about the stock market going up or down? The point is that the stock market movements are temporary, and every wise investor has had to pay the price by riding the temporary waves. This is a toll or tax we all must pay. There is no other way. Is there something that the stock market has not overcome in the past? There is nothing the stock market has not overcome. We've had scams, Harshad Mehta, Ketan Parekh, Enron, WorldCom to name a few ones. We had dot-com bubble bust. We had 2008 global financial crisis which started in the US. We had oil and inflation shocks. We had COVID-19 crisis and the global lockdowns. Wars, the latest one being Israel, Hamas, Russia, Ukraine. Haven't we all experienced these? I bet we have. It's history rather than headlines that we must look for wisdom of what's likely to happen. The crisis of the day will most likely get resolved, even if no one has a clue how it will get resolved. The point is, it will get resolved one way or the other, and the crisis of the day might be hogging the headlines today, but we must remember that crises have always passed in the past, and this one too shall pass. And there is nothing, therefore, the stock market hasn't overcome. You just have to focus on your goals and your time frame of investment. I understand if something like COVID happens, which is a black swan event, but events like elections, geopolitical issues, trade wars, government regulations, all these events keep happening and they will change things for a short while and then stabilize. So the lesson here is there is a more important question we all need to ask ourselves from time to time. And that is, why? Why is it important for me to know every now and then where the stock market is headed? Why do I invest the way I do? The moment we start asking ourselves why is the moment we are likely to discover that our behavior does or doesn't line up with our values. So, go ahead. Ask yourself, why? Thank you for listening in. Take care. Till next time.
You were listening to the Personal Finance Podcast for Doctors with Chanda Varma. If you find this podcast relevant and interesting, do share it with other doctors as well. It will be great if you leave a review, share, like and subscribe. You could also let us know if there is any specific topic that you would like us to cover. For any queries or help, you can get in touch with MFA's Doctor Practice Team at 892-800-6140.